the idea to some people of like getting rejected once is like, oh, my world's over. It's like I get rejected like 50 times a day. It's tough, man. I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. I think, you know, if you look at it on Instagram, it might look all bright lights and flashy and fun, but, you know, like, it ain't. That's like 1% of the job, you know? It gets easier each time, but you got to give it that first big kick down the hill. That's the bit that 90% of people never do. They're scared of it.
Welcome back to Sounds From The Dockside. Today I'm joined by a guest who's proven that age is no barrier when it comes to creativity, and he's already carving a name out for himself in the British cinema scene. So Jack, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very well, man. Tired?
Yeah.
Lots going on.
Yeah, well...
but yeah, back in Grimsby for the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to seeing Grimsby win 7-0 this afternoon. And yeah, chatting with you guys. And yeah, can I first say though, what a setup you guys have got here.
Oh, thanks, mate.
The podcast is excellent, and as we've talked about, like extremely impressive.
Thanks,
Grimsby
mate.
needs more of this.
Does that?
It needs more of this building. It needs more of people doing stuff like this. And
There is a lot going on around here, mate, that goes unnoticed. I mean, we're all humble, but there's a lot of people getting on with different things.
Man, it's really nice to see.
But it's not about us, Jack. It's about you today. So let's get straight into it. What first drew you to filmmaking? When did you know that you wanted to become a director?
I remember my dad lost his job when I was 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that, and instead of playing Football Manager like he should have been doing with his time off work, he decided to make these little stop motion animations with me and my brother in the garden. And we literally we had a printer and like a very early computer, and we'd go on Microsoft Paint and make these little characters, you know, just draw them out, me and my 4-year-old brother. Print them off, put them on a stick, and just make these little stop-motion animations. We'd have like cardboard shoebox sets that we'd like paint. I remember doing like David and Goliath and stuff. So that kind of got me in. My dad's very creative. He's written books and does art and used to frame pictures, like all sorts. And he made a movie, like deliberately the world's worst movie, called M25 the Movie, where he just filmed the entire circle of the M25 out of the front. So he's always been like massively creative. And yeah, that kind of opened my eyes to it. And then I got a digital camera, like a DSLR, when I was about 11 or 12, and then I was just off. I was like, you know, I can just go and make films. So then, just like every weekend, would write something on a Friday, shoot Saturday, edit Sunday. Must have done hundreds of like crappy zero budget short films, but that's
What film was you watching around that time that inspired you?
It sounds weird given what my job is, but I've never really. If you give me like an hour, it's probably going to be choice 10 is watching a movie. Like growing up, it was always go kick a ball around the park or sport or like mates and even to this day, like I think a lot of directors get into it because they're like cinephiles. They just like love cinema. I like films, obviously, but I didn't get into it because I was like a film nerd. I loved the making, and even to this day, like you know, you spend all day trying to get a film made or making a film. The last thing I want to do at 7 p.m. is go home and watch one. You know, like I want to go do some stuff different and balance. So I don't know. I mean, like I remember one of the first films I went to the cinema by myself to watch was Four Lions, and I remember I went with a mate.
Could you make Four Lions today?
No way. No, but what a film, man!
It's such a good bit of cinema.
I just think it's such dangerous territory. It's very dangerous territory then, but today, no way. But I remember I was 14. And I went with my mate who was also 14, and it was a 15 movie. Ticket guy was like, how old are you? I was like 15, and my mate was like 14. I looked at him like, what are you doing? But luckily the geezer was like, oh, you're nearly 15, aren't you? And let us in, and like, I still thank that man.
I'm trying to think now, like, as an adult, would I find that appropriate for a 15-year-old to watch?
Tell you what isn't appropriate for 15-year-olds, it is a 15, it's Saving Private Ryan. I remember watching that when I was 15. Bloody hell. That opening scene on a beach.
It's quite a shocker, isn't it?
Laugh. That is not a 15.
It grips you, that opening scene as well. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Traumatised for months. Christ.
So, moving on to your first feature, Destination Dewsbury. You got that off the ground at just 19. So, to me, cinema seems something that's quite closed off. Like, I you know, I don't understand the blueprint of getting into directing or anything like that. So for you at such a young age, can you just give us a bit of an idea of what the process was for you actually getting a film to cinema?
Yeah. So I think the first assumption, certainly when I was doing it, was like you got a rich family or you know someone. I didn't. Neither were true. You know, like very loving, normal, you know, upbringing, but didn't have someone that could give me 150 grand, you know, anytime soon. And that was the budget we were raising. And I was at York Uni at the time studying film and TV production, and dropped out after a year because I was like, by doing the short films every weekend, I'm just teaching myself more. Yeah. And, you know, it's costing me a load of money and, you know, it was quite fun getting drunk for a year, but that gets boring real quick. And I went and worked as a runner on a movie in York called Scott and Sid. Scott Elliott was the director and Sid Sadowski the producer. It was £1 million budget thing, didn't have any names in it, all shot in York. But as a kid who'd never been on a professional film set, going into this world of like big lights and trailers, and you're like, oh my God. And then I was a runner, so I was like making tea and stuff, but I was asking questions that I probably shouldn't have been asking, like to the producer, like, how do you raise the money? And the director would give like a bit of direction to the actor. I'd be like, how did you make him do that? And they really liked that, and they took me under their wing. And I remember after, I think it was during the first week of shooting, they took me into their office. I thought I was about to get a bollocking. But they said, you know, like, you're really smart, let us teach you how to raise money. We'll show you, you know, how it works in terms of like your pitch deck and your documents and all that stuff. You've still got to go find the people, which is the hard bit, obviously. But they just held my hand through it, and it was like they had that chat, and that night I just remember going back, you know, to the uni dorms. It was like coming to the end of the first year, and it was like an atomic bomb had just gone off in my head, and that was like people talk about sliding doors moments. That night it just changed everything, and I'll never forget what them guys did. They just opened like a war chest of confidence, and you know, then just even like a lot of creatives, like I'm creative naturally and have learnt the business side of it, you know, but a lot of creatives don't ever get that opportunity where someone sits them down and be like, right, here's how it works, here's the first hurdle, here's the second hurdle, third hurdle, here's, you know, what a pitch deck looks like. I remember where I got someone to commit like 10 grand, and I was like, right, Scott, what the hell do I do now? Like, and I kind of thought it would be like a big one of them giant checks, like when you win the lottery. And it was all like, you know, right, you need to do X, Y, Z. And yeah, we just raised. We were trying to raise the money for a few months and wasn't really getting. We maybe had like 10 grand. So I started an inflatable hot tub rental company, which grew really quickly, really fast, and you know, was for a teenager, I guess, quite an impressive business. And you know, I was able to use that. You know, rich people then trusted me with their money because even though it wasn't film, it was like, you know how to budget, you know how to make profit, you know, this kind of sort of basic business principles, combined with having done a load of shorts and won quite a few awards for that, and sort of, so that kind of, the creative belief was there. And, you know, I look back, you know, my girlfriend Lana, that sort of, we didn't meet on that film, but she worked on that film, and that's where we spent our first kind of chunk of time together. And, you know, we had like 20 people living in a 4-bedroom house eating Mars bars and pot noodles. It was like proper in the trenches, man. But yeah, you know, just doing it young, A, taught me so much, and B, got me in the game to a degree. You know, I got a manager and agent and a lot of PR off the back of it, just from doing it so young. You know, I look back, I watch the film now, and I'm like, as you do with all of your last work, right? But yeah, it was an alternative way into the industry. But what I've learned is no one has the same story. There's no like blueprint, especially being a director, where it's not like you're in a corporate job and there's like, okay, you know, in X amount of years, if you get these 2 promotions, you're going to earn that much. You know what it looks like. Yeah. Directing.
I think that's why it's such a big risk, like committing to your creative practice, because there's just no framework for it, is there?
Yeah, there's not.
That stumps a lot of people's creativity and a lot of people's drive to get into creative aspiration, doesn't it?
It's hard.
It's hard work, mate. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I look back, even at, you know, what we're doing now, you know, various stages of that. It's like, I wouldn't want to go and do that. You know, that even just in this like movie cycle, it's like you don't want to go back to bits. I wouldn't want to go back to, you know, the graft of 3 Day Millionaire. You know, like whatever it is, you know, each one gets bigger and slightly, you know, you're doing less individually because you've got more people and more money and time. But like, it's tough, man. I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. I think, you know, if you look at it on Instagram, it might look all bright lights and flashy and fun, but, you know, like, it ain't. That's like 1% of the job, you know.
Just going back to what you said about money and time. If money and time was no object, and your actor pool was no object, what sort of film would you create? What would be the dream?
We're doing a project this year, and then the one after has always been the one. I think I came up with the idea when I was about 15. It's called The Story of the 1976 World Mini Golf Championships.
Okay.
Like Anchorman kind of comedy, all set in a 1970s colour palette, decor, all about. So in real life, mini golf very nearly became an Olympic sport in 1976.
Really?
Montreal Olympics. Yeah.
That sounds great. It sounds like a great concept.
And just like that kind of Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, that's where I want to get to, right? Them kind of early 2000s, late 90s comedy is what I grew up kind of watching. And, that would be the first American movie that I'd do, a lot bigger budget. So that's always been the sort of fixation, and then sort of working backwards. How do we get there? What steps do we need to take? Like you start off in the football terms of like the 9th tier, and then each movie you try and get promoted a couple of divisions until you can do something like that. It's like Premier League level,
It seems like you're on that trajectory, mate. Seems like you're doing it right.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to like take yourself out of the when you're in the thing, you're constantly driving the machine forward. You forget about the macro, and it's quite. I think one of the things I've got slightly better at, but always struggled with, is like actually sitting back sometimes, and because I do a movie every 4 years, like 'cause that's just how long it takes to you have the idea to get the script where it needs to be, 2 or 3 years at least, find the money, another year at least. We shot 3 Day 4 years ago, came out 2.5 years ago. And then we're rolling into production now. So it's like, it just, and when you're in that 4-year cycle, it's like I do my job once every World Cup. It's a joke how hard you have to work just to get to the start line. Yeah. There's no other job like it. It's mental. But yeah, I think when you wrap a movie, you probably have 4 or 5 days of like pure contentment. You're like, I've got no drive at the minute to do anything else. And then about a week later, the carrot is back in front of the donkey, and you're chasing the next.
The thumbs are twiddling again.
Yeah, man. You're like, right, what's next? But yeah, it's
always chasing that dopamine, mate.
Chasing a dream. Though I got a drunk tattoo on my arm when I was a kid. It says "Dream Chaser," and I want to change it. I was talking to Alana. I want to change it because I used to very much be like career is everything. Like work as many hours as I can. Like no balance at all in life.
You can only do that for so long, though, can't you?
Well, yeah, I think when you get older as well, you appreciate, like, work is one thing, and work, I probably used to over-identify with my job. Like, people would say, right, who are you? I'd be like, film director. And now it's like, that's my 9 till 5 job, but I'm also X, Y, Z. Like, boyfriend, Grimsby fan, like travelling, whatever.
Yeah.
A bit more spread. And what were we talking about? I've lost my track. What was the question again?
It's all right, because I want to go on to 3 Day Millionaire.
Go on, yeah.
So what inspired you to bring that story to life?
We'd done Destination Dewsbury, and we were looking for the next project. And we put various calls out for scripts and all sorts. And then Paul Stevenson, the writer, got in touch. I remember trawling through I remember exactly where I was. I was in York at my mate's apartment, spending days trawling through all of these scripts that had been sent to me, and they're all like just either not very good or very not me, and like nothing was like exciting me. And then I think it was the last one out of 200 that I was like flicking through was 3 Day Millionaire, and originally it was based in Hull, but I was like, well, that won't work. And Paul's from Hull, and he grew up on Hull docks, and like obviously 3 Day Millionaires, Grimsby, Hull, it all works. So I rang him up. I was like, look, I'm quite interested in this. The script needs a bit of work, but this is a real nice world. I like it. But I ain't shooting a movie in Hull. I get lynched when I go to the town game. We're going to have to do it in Grimsby. I know the town really well. I know that I can get some movement behind it there, both sort of financially and, like goodwill. And, I know it just like looks great and people are lovely. Like, going into Hull, it'd be like shooting it in, just somewhere like random where you don't have any.
I didn't know that the writer was from Hull, but I don't think it does Hull a disservice it being in Grimsby, because it's not a million miles apart geographically, socially, historically.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's the second best place to do it.
Yeah, it would have been, but it just would have felt wrong.
Yeah,
and like
I
doing
concur.
something. I think why that. I watch 3 Day now, and there's so much wrong with it. Like I can. I think a year after you finish with something, like you can really just watch it as an audience. And there's so much I do differently, man. Like there's some things that I'm like, yeah, that was good, and you know, while you're doing it, you're aware of the budgetary constraints and time, and you know, but then as soon as you forget all that, you can like, and you know, it's a 5 out of 10 movie. Like it's okay, and it's so you know, I feel like going into this one, I'm such a better. I know the depths of my job way more.
Yeah.
You know, again, more resources. You know, everything's upped. But yeah, I mean, it just would have felt weird doing it anywhere else. But I had, you know, as soon as we wrapped, I cried my eyes out because I was just so emotional because I had such a good time making it. Like everyone here was a joy. We had no trouble. One of the things I was worried about, I was like, you know, are we going to get a load of knobheads on bikes turning up trying to nick our shit? I just thought, you know, and we didn't have, there was no, like, and we had a security guard the whole time. Waste of money. Lovely guy, so good spend of money. But didn't need him. There was no trouble at all. There was nothing. And everyone...
You know the type of people who's around here, mate. You know, it's the same for me, you know, people have... Like my friend was saying the other day, I do a lot of paddleboarding, and I paddleboard in Grimsby Dock in the town centre. Yeah. And my friend came down to meet me, and he was like, "Don't you ever get any dickheads here or anything like that?" I'm like, "No." Like,
every town has dickheads, right?
Yeah.
You know, when we go, you know, when we follow town away, you know, there's always a knobhead saying something that they shouldn't be saying or being a dick. But like, you know, we had like the amount of people that opened their doors for us. You know, people come down for nothing to be extras. Just like everyone was so helpful, and like we're doing this next movie in London, it's the opposite, as expected. You know, like it's just not like it's not exciting there, and it's like it's not. You know, Grimsby, everyone is just nice and friendly and open, and it was just such a joy to do, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then it obviously got picked up by Netflix. So a lot of people saw. I think there was like 1 million hours of it watched in the UK alone in its first like 3 months or something.
That's great.
So a lot of people saw what Grimsby actually is, rather than Sacha Baron Cohen's version. That was shot on Tilbury Docks because Grimsby's not shit enough to be Grimsby in the film. So I hope it did some good.
Definitely did, mate.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think it cemented your reputation as probably the most successful person who's come out of Grimsby in terms of film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With your connections to the town.
Yeah.
So the UK film industry is known for being tough on indie filmmakers. So could you share some of the hurdles that you've experienced navigating that industry and how you've overcome them?
I don't know. It's the film industry that are the hurdles. It's just the economics of it. Like, you know, 20 years ago we'd be sitting here and a lot of indie film revenue, if you're making £1 million, £2 million, £3 million quid movie, would be DVDs. As daft as that sounds, you'd get a lot of money. You'd also have cinema. You know, both of them things are on their arse. You've now got streamers, you know, and you've still got, you know, the one we're doing now will be cinema. 3 Day with cinema, you know, like you get cinema releases, but you know, all the bigger, once you get to kind of 5 mil, 10 mil plus, you know, it's so risk averse. Anything coming out of a studio basically is so risk averse. So, you know, then you've got how are you going to get a original thing financed? It's the indie model, which is basically, in my line of work, going around finding high net worth individuals or institutional money or, you know, pots and stuff like that, regional pots. And, you know, patching together a finance plan, you know, which has equity, so investment, you've got tax credits. So one of the good things about the UK is if you're a filmmaker of any type, whatever you spend in the UK, the government give you 32% of it because it encourages a load of American movies to come over here, hire British crew, spend their money in the UK. That's why Trump was getting pissy about the film export thing a few months back.
Yeah.
Because nothing's shooting in America because everything's unionised there. So what cost me a £2 million film here, it costs $10 million there for the same thing. Same cast, same people. It's just everyone's unionised, so they're all getting paid way more. Hence my desire to go to the States. But I mean, the industry is helpful. You know, like I don't know. Because I still go out and raise the money myself. Yeah. Again, I got quite a different warped. You know, I'm not you know, and I make very commercial films. So it's if you're doing a kind of real art house, you know, black and white thing that no one's going to watch. You know, you've got pots of, you know, BFI money, BBC money. They're there to help films that wouldn't commercially get funded otherwise get made, and they're not pots for me. You know, they're usually pots for diversity. They're usually pots for disabled filmmakers, as they should be. Or for films that just are so uncommercial that, you know, but are artistically great, hopefully, you know, that they wouldn't get made otherwise. Whereas I just go and find the money. And then if you raise the money, you can make the film you want to make. You know, I think as my career has gone on and on, you know, even though I'm not really a producer, you become way more aware of what is a commercially sensible movie. You know, you start working with, you know, bigger and better sales agents that give you more and more reliable sales figures. So you know, okay, if I get this cast and they make my film at this budget, even if it makes, you know, they give you like a low, medium and high, even if it makes the low, I know that I've doubled my investors' money.
Yeah.
And if it makes a high, I'm
Do you think striving to make something commercially viable inherently stumps creativity because you're thinking about, oh, this needs to land rather than this needs to be authentically what you want it to be?
I don't think so. I mean, it just depends what kind of filmmaker you are, right? Some people want to make art house black and white, you know, upside down movies. Yeah. I don't. You know.
I'm speaking more in general, you know, because it happens a lot in music. Obviously, that's my background, and you know, people do make stuff that is commercially viable, and it's fakery, it's manufactured. You know, I wondered.
Oh yeah.
You know, is that a risk in film as well? Like, I mean, is that a bugbear?
There,
you know, you're thinking, oh, you know. Yeah,
it's always there. Like we've been looking at every British Christmas movie of the last decade recently, and 99% of them are manufactured commercial tripe. The same rom-com schmoozy story, shot like TV, no authorship kind of over it, not made with love or craft. Everyone's there for a paycheck. The story's crap. There's no heart to it.
Guess the plot.
Yeah, you guess it's the same. Bleh. You know, so you know, and Christmas movies are inherently commercial because there's demand for them every year. English-speaking Christmas movies, in particular, sell in every country. You know, and if you have a hit, it's a hit forever. It's like a Christmas music show, right? There is a lot of it going on. Have I ever felt like, I think because my tastes are sort of commercial but made with love and craft, you know, so like commercial with heart, basically, I've never felt like I'm selling out or want to do anything that isn't in that commercial bracket. That's just my, you know, growing up on, you know, Anchorman and, you know, them kind of movies, like, they're commercial. But I mean, even now, right, we're doing a process where, you know, you've storyboarded a movie, and then once you see the schedule and the budget limitations and the equipment that you've got, you then have to, you know, economise your shortlist. So there's always, but that's just part of, like, you know, indie filmmaking, you know, until you get to a certain level, it's always compromise. You know, like, you ain't ever going to be able to get a crane every day for these nice, beautiful shots. Yeah. Like, you know, you just ain't. Like, and you know, and again, raising the money, I'm more aware of that than most directors. I ain't going to have a paddy if I can't have a crane because I know I get an extra day of shooting. You know, like, and so... Yeah, both on a micro level and a macro level, I think it's there. But my projects have always like tripled in budget each one. Yeah. So I always get more toys and more time and more people. So like I've never felt too squeezed by that.
That's good. That's good. So you've alluded to it a little bit, a Christmas film. Can you tell us some more about this Christmas film? What can we expect?
Yeah. Are we going full whack?
Go full whack, mate. Okay.
Did we say we were going full whack? Okay.
Yeah, let's go full whack.
Yes, we're doing a Christmas movie that we're shooting in a few weeks. Might be shooting by the time this comes out. Stellar cast. John Bradley, who is Sam Tarly in Game of Thrones, is our lead. Got Richard E. Grant, Celia Emery, Joe Ando, who is Lady Danbury in Bridgerton, Carl Pilkington, Ned Planer from The Young Ones. There's so many of them, I'm sort of forgetting. It's like an all-star cast. It's like unbelievable. Better than my wildest dreams. We've got Kyle Smith-Barno from Ghosts, Sophia Di Martino from Loki. It's just like, you know, the cast is mental.
Easy for you to tell us who's not in it.
Yeah, honestly, like, because it was only a year ago. So we're going to production in a few weeks in October. Last October, it was when we got the script right after 3 years. Like we got one note in August, and it just changed everything. It was like, and then it all was like, oh my god, it's all clicking. And then. Within a year we're shooting with a cast like that, like beyond my wildest dreams, like unreal.
Yes, sounds unreal. Sounds unreal.
Yeah, so it's stressful at the minute because we've got a few weeks to shoot. I always find like the lead up. Once we're shooting, it's all adrenaline and like all the puzzle pieces are there. But yeah, there's a lot of plate spinning and sort of more producery stuff that producers are very good at keeping directors away from stuff they don't need to worry about. But again, because it's my production company, we've hired a producer who's wonderful and their team's great, but because I'm just naturally have a vested interest, I keep asking questions that I shouldn't do, and it keeps stressing me out. But no, it's
got you this far, mate. It's
yeah,
got you this far.
it's 4 years of work, man. I mean, the idea for this one I came up with in 2017. I was living in Chicago.
Years ago.
Oh, mate, yeah. I mean, it just takes that long. You know, the mini golf movie, if we do that next, that'll be over 10 years from idea to...
I'm already excited for that. I can picture it. With,
script.
You're telling me about, you know, the influence that you've grew up on, like Will Ferrell, you know, the films I've been in. I can picture it already, and it's a great concept.
Yeah, and it's cracking script as well. Like, we're nearly ready to go out of it. But yeah, Christmas movie. So it's weird, like, it's still hot outside. And then, you know, all the talk is about snow and Christmas stuff, and it's like... But again, I mean, it's a cracking script, man. And we've only got that cast because the script's so good. Like, it's beautiful, heartwarming. It's all about a sort of model collector who doesn't like Christmas, doesn't like old people, and has an altercation with an old man and gets community service in an old folks' home.
All right.
And when he's there, his job is to put on a nativity play, which is his idea of hell. And by doing that, he may or may not warm up in a kind of Scrooge-esque way. But it's cracking. You know, I've oversimplified that massively. But yeah, cracking team, cracking. You know, budget's a lot bigger than I worked with before. Cast obviously as well.
Bit of a dream for you, mate. It seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's still stuff can still go tits up, but yeah, you know, it's feeling, you know, each day that counts down towards shoot, you know, more and more gets locked in. But yeah, it is a dream. I mean, again, we talked about earlier, like actually realizing a trajectory, or, you know, when you're so tunnel focused in it. I think I'm gonna have a few weeks off after we shoot and just sort of sit and feel it, because it's nearly half my adult life of work to get this made.
I think sometimes as well, when you're in the thick of something, you don't kind of realise that it's you that's in it.
No,
you know what I mean? It's all going by, and it's you in it, but because you're the main character in that,
exactly.
You don't realise it's all.
I mean, you know, like, it's only at this point, because I've dragged it along for 3 years and tried to get it through development and, you know, all sorts of, 100 hurdles before we even get to having a producer on and money, and, you know, like. So yeah, it is one hell of an achievement. You know, he says they're speaking before we've even made a decent film yet. But, like, you know, just to get any film this far, so hard. You know, like, I tell you, you know, the amount of problems I've had to solve must be in the tens of thousands. The amount of rejections must be in the thousands. Alana, my girlfriend, always says you just must love rejection. But I don't feel it. It's just like,
makes you more resilient, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of creatives go wrong. Like, the idea to some people of, like, getting rejected once is like, oh, my world's over. It's like, I get rejected like 50 times a day when I'm trying to put something together. You just get, like, you either get numb to it or you get used to it, and it doesn't, like, you got to get past that hurdle. The quicker you can, the more you're going to fly.
It's been great here today, Jack.
Pleasure's mine.
I've really enjoyed having you here, mate.
Pleasure's mine, dude.
Something that's, you know, over the course of the episode, it seems like money is a big factor in the film industry. If you could change something that would change the way, you know, the way funding models are for film, what would you do? How would you do it differently?
That's a good question, man. I don't know. I mean, being a commercially leaning director, it's kind of in my favour, to be honest. Like, once you get to a certain level, you know, like, I'm still not at that level, you know, so this is still grind and hustle, and then the kind of films I want to make are easier to get made than if I was making real art house stuff, right? I mean, what would I change? I mean, the tax credit, so the 32% that I talked about earlier, a year and a half ago, that was 20%. So that going up, hugely beneficial. There's talk that it might go up to 40%. You know, and then if 40% of your money is free, it means you've only got to raise between sales, MGs, and equity 60% of your budget. And, you know, you've got regional pots as well. So the amount of money that you actually need to raise, suddenly probably like 30%, you know, which obviously makes your life easier. Makes it a lot bigger sell to investors, because you're making a £3 million movie and they've only had to put in £1 million. So if your film makes £1 million back, which it should do if you're spending £3 million, crikey, then you're up. So the more that can go up, obviously the economics get easier. I mean, I wish, you know, in society that capitalism wasn't a thing. I hate it. You know, I used to love America. You know, and when you're growing up, you know, it's all bright lights and stuff. But everything it stands for now, like, just money, greed, status show. Like, as soon as we abolish all of that, any kind of respect for anyone, you know, doing a statusy job, like, you know, it's bollocks, right? You know, like, everyone's human, everyone's the same. You know, borders are man-made. Money just gets in the way of us. Greed. It's all like, I'd abolish the whole system. And then,
Wow, you're a communist, Jack.
Well, no, maybe not that far, but there's no different. There's no difference between what a nurse has way more social impact than I do. That's a job that should be held on a pedestal. Yeah, I'm the one that 'cause it's interesting. I get it. But yeah, what would I change? Sorry, I diverted.
It's all right. It's all right.
What would I mean, tax credit going up. I'd bring cinema back. We miss cinema. I think the more power the streamers have. Like we look at 3 Day, right? It did a cinema run, made a bit of money in the cinema, but made its big chunk and got millions of people. Way more people watched it. To the point where I was in London chatting to strangers in pubs, and the 3 Day Millionaire had come up. It came up on all my mates' phones saying it's coming out on Netflix. And I remember I went to a late night disco rave and came back at 5 a.m. and put Netflix on, and like the screen that scrolls. Yeah. It's like 3 Day Millionaire coming on Wednesday. I was like, huh? So, the streamers mean more people watch your stuff, which is great. Cinema is important financially for the film industry, obviously. And the less power the cinema has and the more the streamers have. And I think, again, macroeconomics, there's a lot of streaming platforms that the studios own now. And traditionally, studios and cinemas have never got along because studio will pay for the movie, put it in cinema. Cinema will take half the takings, half the ticket fee for running cinema. But now the studios are skipping cinema, putting it on their own streaming platforms because they keep 100% of the subscription fee. So it's greed, and it just means less money is like floating down. And I just inject more into it, because again, I'm going on a real tangent. The healthier the industry, the more big finance is willing to take creative risk. At the minute, the stuff coming out in cinema is just Marvel 20, just boring, tripey remakes of stuff that was great 30 years ago, but there's such a lack of original content at the top. And if it's not happening at the top, how the hell are we going to make it down here?
Constant impingement on speech, what seems to be going on at the minute, it's just stifling. A lot of things, there's no films I get excited about at the minute. It's very rare I get excited about a film.
Same.
It's same reasons you've said. It seems like you've seen them all before.
Yeah.
It's all Marvel.
It's a tried and tested model, And when and economics of the industry, it'll come up and down, and it's like life, right, and everything. But at the minute, because the streamers are kind of taking over, it's a little bit limbo. When it, just because it's on a bit of a contracting moment, the risk aversion. Is what So I'm hoping making a nice original Christmas movie that stands out and isn't just the same tripe.
Sure, go down well, mate.
Stand out.
Look forward to it.
Fingers crossed for the big fella.
So to close out, mate, just in case there is some young person sat at home listening to this, thinking, "I want to be a director one day." What's the one piece of advice you would give them to close on?
Go out and make films. What we've all got now is iPhones. And I used to hear that a bit of advice, and I'd be like, "Oh, shut up! It ain't gonna look very good. It's on an iPhone." But it doesn't matter. My first 100 things, you could argue all of my entire work hasn't looked very good. But all the little short zero budget film, were rubbish. But they're not supposed to be good. I think a lot of young directors or filmmakers, or I found with the kids when I was at uni, everyone was just scared because they thought that their first film had to be this Oscar-winning, Palme d'Or-winning. It's not, it ain't.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, it's like the idea of picking up a guitar for the first time and expecting to walk out in front of 80,000 people at Wembley. It just don't work like that. It's the same in this industry. And that point in my life, and for any young directors listening, trust me, the point in your directing career when you don't have the commercial pressure is golden. You can just take all the risk in the world. You can learn. I did horror movies. I did all these different things just to work out what path I actually wanted to, and I start off you doing everything. And then, I'd post the short films on Facebook, YouTube, and people would get in touch. Next time if you need a cinematographer, let me know. And then you kind of whittle down to the bit that you actually like, once you got all these, you eventually have your crew. And that's you learn so much just by doing. And if you don't go and do that, trust me, you won't ever take that next step, because you just got to learn the craft, man. And the craft don't mean you got to go to film school for 3 years and spunk a load of money on a course taught by people that have never been on a film set in their lives and then just gone straight from school to uni, back to uni, teaching. The obvious path, bollocks, trust me, been there, did it. was the biggest waste of time and money ever. And you know, in this industry, you don't put your education on your CV because no one cares. You put all the films you've worked on, you know, and the sets you've been on. Because, you know, even now you get kids like applying. They've just spent 3 years doing a film degree, but have never been on a film set. Or a kid that didn't go to uni and instead spent 3 years on film sets. Who are we going to employ? You know, so go out there and do it. Stick away from higher education for any creative stuff, in my opinion, but particularly film industry, because you'll learn way more just by going and doing it. Trust me.
I love it, mate. What a great bit of advice. Get out there and do it.
I hope so. I mean, everyone's story, everyone's route in is different. You know, I'm sure there are people that have gone to film school, and you know, there are many people that have gone to film school and been successful directors, way more successful than me. So I can only tell you my learnings from my
great bit of advice, mate, and transferable to anything you want to get into. Just get out there and crack on.
Go and do it, man.
I mean?
Getting over that initial self-doubt. And then when you do it once, you do your first short film, it's like kicking a snowball down the hill, right? Give it one big kick at the start, and it just goes down here and gets bigger and bigger. But, you know, the momentum's there. You've done it once. You know what you're doing. There's no anxiety about doing it again. And then when you jump to a feature, it's just a long short. But with more money and, you know, more crew and, like, it's easier. It's a lot easier. You know, and then the more you go up, the less you're doing, the more, you know, better people and time and money you got around you. It gets easier each time. But you got to give it that first big kick down the hill. That's the bit that 90% of people never do because they're scared of it.
Well, you know, most of the barriers to success are the ones that you put up yourself, aren't they?
Like
get
all
through
of
them.
Yeah, you know, like 100%. You can do anything you want in this world. You just got to get yourself past barrier 1. Don't think of hurdle 10. Think, right, this is my first hurdle, doing my first short film. Right? People get like stuck thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to get money from a feature. You haven't even done your first short yet. You're worried about hurdle 7. You know, like, just do the first one.
What a beautiful bit of advice to end on, mate.
It's
been great having you in today, mate. I've really enjoyed it.
Pleasure's mine, dude.
Hopefully we can do it again in the future. It'd be nice to chat about this Christmas film.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the golf one if we get to that.
Circle back in a few months and we can talk some more about it.
Yeah, it'd be great, mate. But yeah, thanks ever so much for coming down, mate. No, I really do appreciate it, mate. I really do. We all do.
No, thank you, boys.
And if you've liked what you listened to today, hit like and subscribe.